Welcome to the Skill Locked profile, where every Skyblock year I spin a wheel and can only level one of the 5 major Skyblock skills, with the eventual goal of maxing all 5 of them. Last time we rolled Foraging, and in just 25 hours of playtime, we completely maxed the skill. The 5th Skyblock year is about to begin, with our struggles and tribulations only growing by the day. But before we get started, we need to spin the wheel that decides our fate. So let's spin the wheel. And it looks like it's going to be another combat week. I need a bigger accessory bag, man. There it is. There's combat week. Alrighty, so welcome back to combat week. I definitely have a little bit of housekeeping to do in terms of figuring out what I'm going to do in the immediate part of this year. I think first on my list, and something that I've seen a lot of people talk about, is the fact that I can get a redstone minion, since, I'm able to unlock it and all that. I actually have some redstone dust, funnily enough. Before I could really get started on combat-related stuff for the week, I needed to upgrade the redstone minion, which frankly wasn't too bad after getting the materials. This didn't give me any sort of mining XP, and now I have a redstone minion on my island for future weeks. After this, I decided to pick up a booster cookie. The buff from the cookie was going to be useful throughout the entire week. I also decided to head over to Jacobus. This was going to be extremely important for the profile. My biggest issue with combat at the moment is the lack of accessory bag slots, and you can pick up more at Jacobus for a fee, and that is something that we would be doing a lot throughout the week. I also decided to pick up molten equipment. This was my first major upgrade in terms of gear, and I wanted to pick up a few hide-on ring shards. These are attributes that allow you to increase the size of your accessory bag further, meaning I could put more accessories in my bag and get a bit more magical power, making me quite a bit stronger. And that gets me 2 more accessory bag slots? Yeah, that's kind of the goal, is I gotta get a method for making some amount of money. That's up to 51k. You know what? 51k damage this early in? Not bad, not too shabby, I've gotta say. There's a lot of things that we can do to further increase that throughout the week, and we are going to do a lot more. Yeah, I guess I could go Frozen Blaze, huh? Let me look at that. Frozen Blaze. Now, the first of a few mistakes that I made on this week happened at the point of me buying the Frozen Blaze gear and the Blaze pet. Now, this is a pretty solid setup, and there's definitely some niche use cases for Frozen Blaze. However, it is a lot of money, and me burning through my cash stockpile so early in the week for gear that did not significantly boost my damage was simply not worth it. I had to sell the gear back. I ended up going with Strong, which was a much cheaper but still pretty solid alternative that would carry me through the rest of the week. I did a little bit of Slayer grinding, a little bit of grinding in the end, and picked up a ton of new attributes, many of them focused on damage, including the Dragon Boss Ruler Shard, which basically allows you to deal more damage to bosses. But now we were heading back into the end to do a few Enderman Slayer bosses, and then work on our Slayers in general. A lot of these damage upgrades are really necessary, and it's paying dividends throughout the rest of the week. So we're up to 57-ish thousand, which isn't that bad. Which per hit, I guess it could be so much worse. If you're enjoying the episode, please make sure to like and subscribe, and use code RAIL on the Hypixel store for 5% off your order. Without any further ado, though, let's get back to Skyblock Skill Locked. So, go here. Doesn't really matter that much. Let's grab this guy. Sure. We grab a wolf pet now. There we go. Then we can do /BE. We do this. Claim 610,000 combat XP as well as 31 health. And look at that. We actually get combat 23 off of that. And we level up the wolf to 54, which is huge, man. Look at that. 16.2 combat wisdom now. I know it may seem like we're bouncing a lot between different things, but next we were heading over to the Crimson Isle. The reason why is I wanted to progress the Crimson Isle quest, because if I could get a Kudra run done, that means I could pick up Crimson gear, which would be a huge upgrade. The problem is, I'm pretty sure that I'm not going to be able to finish it in this week, because you need to help Odger, and that is fishing, but still, we could make some progress on it. And maybe start helping out Elle with her little quest line. Won't be able to get it done completely, from my understanding. I think there's like a few fishing related things you have to do, but Let's help her out and see what we can do here. We get some Skyblock XP, so let's go follow her. If we can do her quest line, we can potentially get a run of Kudra done. If we can do Kudra, we can get Crimson. Crimson's a big deal. And after progressing through the first part of the Crimson Isle questline and maybe a few terrible jokes.
You know, I think if my pigs suddenly became human, I wouldn't, like, beef with them. I would feel bad.
You wouldn't beef with them?
Yeah,
of course you wouldn't. You would
pork
pork with them.
Ah!
We ended up getting to the point of having to interact with Odger where, yeah, sure enough, we would not be able to progress throughout the rest of the combat week. We would have to wait for a fishing one because he needs us to trophy fish. Yeah, that is definitely kind of sucky that we're not going to be able to finish or complete that quest at all. But that's fine. We'll find another route here. Our armor is not doing that badly, and neither is our equipment doing that badly, so that's fine. So after doing the introduction quest to the Crimson Isle, we're kind of running into a wall here, and that wall is damaged. We just don't do enough to unlock any crazy new content. Maybe we'll be able to take on a new tier 4 Slayer, but that's about it. The best way you would normally get past this is by getting a lot more magical power, but we're not easily able to. We're pretty much out of accessory bag slots. We're not going to be able to upgrade our redstone collection like we did the first week, because the next upgrade is all the way at 5,000 redstone dust, and I don't know if I have the mental capacity to kill those Wither Specters that long. So we're kind of out of luck on that front. On top of that, though, it's just the other methods to get accessory bag slots are going to be incredibly expensive from this point on. I will say, though, for the next little while, we'll probably be grinding out a lot of Slayer content. Great way to level the skill, of course. It was already late in the evening at this point, so I decided to put day 1 to rest and move into day 2 of the profile. I ended up going back to the end to continue to grind out Enderman Slayer. This may sound counterintuitive, but the reason was because I needed money desperately, and the summoning eyes were a half-decent method while I was grinding out both the Slayer and my combat level. I also made another mistake here. I ended up buying Mastiff. Mastiff is really useful in the early game for a large amount of damage, at least before its potential rework, which will be happening in the future. But regardless, right now, it's pretty solid. The problem is, I have basically no crit damage, meaning I get no health from the Mastiff set, meaning that the Shaman Sword that I bought is effectively useless. This was another set that I bought and had to sell back, just a complete and total waste of money. My money problems continued to multiply as I was looking into getting a Final Destination set up to hopefully do a Tier 2 Enderman. This was what led me down the path to hunting. But I think I just need to start making a little bit more money. We do have a half-decent pocket black hole here. Pretty soon we'll be able to upgrade our hunt axe as well. I can get the next tier pretty quickly. I just need to make... Actually, I can just make the vine sap right there. So boom, there's an upgraded hunt axe. If we're going to be hunting, we definitely want to pick up a hunting toolkit. That's 1 million coins. Let's just consume that. We can put up our lasso, our hunt axe as well, and our pocket black hole, and our fishing net. We also have to get our traps at some point. We have to grab those in a little bit, but that is some amount of... I need to do quite a bit of the hideout boxes. I can also grab these in the sky, of course, with the invisibugs. That's a pretty big deal. I get about 20 hunter fortune from my cloak currently. I have the 50 from the Heart of the Forest Tree, and if I go into my menu, I think if we look here, yeah, 89 total hunter fortune. There's definitely a lot more I can get. I'll look into how to get more at the moment, and then we'll pick up some of those things, but regardless, I think things are going to be looking up for us. You know, I'm not going to lie, this actually isn't that terrible of a method. Obviously, I'm not making, a ton of money per hour, of course, right? But just insta-selling these guys for a few 100,000 coins for not a lot of work. I've already made a few mil, and I've been here, actively doing this maybe 10 minutes, tops. Obviously, not a ridiculous money-making method by any stretch of the imagination, but if you're super broke and you don't have any money whatsoever, just grab a net, head over to the coral lots. There's probably always going to be some amount of demand, I would imagine, and you're just able to kill them for some decent-ish amount of coins. Obviously, if you're progressed, though, you probably have better money-making methods than me. I'm just on this crazy profile where I just have to do this goofy stuff in order to make money. but it is pretty nice. We will be able to fund our final destination set seemingly, and maybe get a few more accessory slots as well. Yeah, look at that. Just another few minutes. 10 shards, 4 Hide and Leaf shards for 1 million coins. That is really good. Like, I'm kind of shocked that this is working out as well as it is. I'm gonna be real. This might be the thing I return to every once in a while throughout this week and even going into future weeks to try to make some amount of money when I'm dead broke and I can't think of anything else. Gotta say, it's pretty good. We're also going to grab a Soul Flow pile here now that we're able to. We also need to buy quite a bit of Soul Flow, which is a little expensive, I've got to say. But we can at least pick up maybe, I don't know, 10 of them for now. That gives us 1,600. That should be enough for at least a little while. And we can replace it with a low-level talisman. There we go. We can consume all of this. And now we have a total of 151 magical power. So on the road to 200, going to take a little while to get there. And while we're here, now that we have a decent-ish amount of money, we can get the other pieces of Final Destination that we want. So stuff like, for example, this chest plate, it's already fierce. We can enchant it. That's not a big deal. It's 4.5 mil. I don't see any that are cheaper. We're going to have to grab that. In terms of the helmet, there's this one that's fierce as well. We're going to grab that. And then we want the leggings. These are the cheapest solid ones, I would say, with fierce. We'll grab those. So there we go. That's pretty much all of our extra spending money gone. But now we have a full set of pretty half-decent overall Final Destination gear. So let's put that on. There we go. Looks really good, I've got to say. And now we can use our Void Edge Katana. And hopefully, we'll be able to have some pretty good impact. Okay, it's about to be summoned. I'm going to be honest here. I'm extremely nervous about this. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this at all, but we're going to give it a shot. Let's see. It seems like, well, we're taking a lot of damage here. I don't know. Probably not, though. I'm going to be real. That sucks, man. Oh, the damage is just way too much. Oh, no. I really think with a significant amount more of MP, we probably could have done that, but I don't know what I would do differently other than that. We had the Soul Flow bonus there. It's just way too much damage. We need to pick up, like, maybe an Ender Artifact. I don't know. There's other stuff I could get as well. You know, maybe I could use my Enderman pet. I take, 8% less damage from Ender mobs, but still, I'm just missing out on so much. Okay, well, that was definitely worth a shot, but we're going to have to go back to the drawing board on that one. For now, I think what I'm going to do is just grind out tier 4 Svens. I want to do this for multiple reasons. The main one being, if I get to tier 6, then I'm able to actually, do Auto Slayer, which is going to be a really big deal, especially when I get back to doing Revs, which is going to be kind of the main thing I'm going to be doing throughout the week. Kind of a shame that didn't work out. Just so far this week, we've been dealing with a series of failures on my end, which, is my fault, of course. I should be able to do significantly better in these fights. I'm just not really capable of doing so at the moment because my damage is so low and there's so many other problems I'm dealing with on the profile. But we'll figure it out and eventually things will be way better. Well, at least we're able to do that with some amount of effectiveness. And we actually get a few hamster wheels out of that, so pretty nice. And also, as you can see, we got a major personal best there. We'll just grind this out for a little while here. We have an experience artifact we can get here. That's 1 million coins. We might as well. That's a pretty solid one as well. We can drop that in there. And we might as well also get the Night Crystal. That's about 450k. Dump that in there as well. Up to 171. So, hey, it's making some amount of progress here. Still a lot more to do, of course, but listen, it's something at the very least. We're getting back into doing a bit of Sven here. I want to hit that next level, and I've got to say the money from this isn't that terrible. I've killed a couple bosses here, and we made about 250k, which isn't bad relatively speaking. Of course, we could be making a whole lot more if we were doing other activities like hunting, but we do need to progress in combat. And this is really the only way we're going to do it, is by doing a ton of Slayers. After I get those upgrades all the way up to tier 6, and I get Auto Slayer, we're going to probably head back to do a lot of Rev. Eventually, by the end of the week, if we could somehow get a tier 5 Rev completion, that would be incredible. I don't know if we're going to be able to do it. Our damage currently is not very great, but if we can get up to maybe like 300k damage, maybe we have a shot. I have no idea. but we're going to have to wait and see. Something I just realized is that if you break the little mushrooms in these caves, that is considered farming XP. So we did get a total of like 9 farming XP from that. It's not really a big deal. Once again, doesn't really affect the level. I'll just try to avoid it from here on out. But that is ridiculous. You would not expect these to give you actual XP. They're in a Slayer cave. What? Okay, with that kill, there we go. We get level 5 Wolf Slayer done. That's very nice. Things are going pretty alright in terms of combat. We are getting fairly close to our next level here. And with us hitting the level 5 of Wolf Slayer, now we move on to try to get level 6 done. Now, this is going to be similarly easy. It's not going to take too long, just a few more kills of the boss. Once we get that level, we get access to the Pooch Sword. I don't know how useful that's going to be. We also get the Armor of the Pack. Once again, don't think it's going to be super useful, but the Mana Flux is going to be really nice here. That is a fairly significant buff in terms of our deployable, so that's good to see. Okay, something I wanted to spend a bit of money on. I got a bunch of the Ghost Shards. We're not able to actually go to the Dwarven Mines, so I won't be able to get these the normal way, but I can get the nice amount of true defense from them. As you can see, I'm up to 10 true defense from this shard. This should make doing this boss just a little bit easier. I cannot believe that I just got level 100 off of upgrading my Chocolate Factory prestige. I was not paying attention, did not realize I would hit this milestone off of that. But there we go, level 100, that's pretty nice. I think we get a few improvements. Notably, if we go over to our accessory bag, I thought our Book of Progression would upgrade, but maybe that's at a later point. Yeah, it did. As you can see, now it's uncommon. So that's something at the very least. So I collected all of my Hellwisp shards, and I ended up getting Hunting 20 there. That's pretty nice. You get another Hunter Fortune, and you get 100k coins out of that. And it also boosts your chance of getting the shards just from a charm. We're about 3/4 of the way to the level 6 of the Slayer. We're going to try to get that done in a little bit. And then we'll have to figure out how we're going to handle the problems related to Terra. Now, I think what I'm just going to do is try to improve my setup, but if that doesn't work and we really can't do it because of RMP or whatever else, I'll just full focus on doing tier 3s instead. It's just going to be a little bit slower. Ooh, there's a pretty nice drop. We got a critical 6 book. That is actually fairly solid. Don't know what we're going to apply that to. Probably want that on our Reaper Falchion if we can get it on there. Okay, we're now on the last Slayer quest we need to do. I ended up leaving the park because there were just too many people there. They really need to expand out those caves. Things have actually been going pretty well here. The actual kills have been really solid since I've been using my wolf pet. It is a little bit of damage loss, but at the same time, I don't get killed, which is completely and totally worth it in my view. As you can see, I kind of just walk back and forth here. I have 35 total true defense, and that's more than enough with the wolf pet to just not die or really take any amount of damage. I kind of just ignore the pups and just blow up the big boss, as you can see here. But in terms of grinding this out, next we have to move on to Terra. That's going to be definitely very interesting. I don't know exactly how that's going to work, but there we go. We got the kill there, and then we can call up Maddox, get that done. Then we can do this. There's 100 total Skyblock XP, as well as the Mana Flux recipe. So we're going to have to make that. We need 4 enchanted lapis lazuli blocks, and wow, a lot of golden teeth, like 4 mil worth. I don't know if we even do that upgrade right now. I'm gonna be real. We're kind of in Brokey City. Maybe we'll head back to Galatea in a bit and grind out some more money. But for now, at least, we're gonna head over to the Spider's Den and grind out some Terra. Oh, something we just got that I saw on the bottom left is another bestiary milestone. So we actually have a combat pet already on. So if we look at our bestiary, we can grab that. And there we go. We get another level out of that. We get combat 24, which is pretty cool. Not going to be able to repeat the same amount of progress as we got that first week, though. I think the lack of accessory bag slots is really tough. And the amount of money that I would need to get a lot more to the point where I could actually get all of the accessories I wanted to, we just don't have that at the moment. You know, we're kind of broke in comparison. Also, I'm doing this without actually, you know, having a quest seemingly active. That's kind of on me. It's just definitely a problem we'll have to look into eventually solving. But for now, we just keep on going. We're going to grab a spider talisman here. We are paying quite a bit for it, but we can also take it at this point. And then I believe if we do this, we can make a spider ring. This reduces the damage taken from arthropod mobs by 10%, and that gets us up to 178 total magical power. Alright, so after a few more attempts, we're still not really doing good at this boss, I'm gonna be honest with you. I tried a few more tier 4s, and there were a couple of cases where people would just run by me and then just blow up my boss, and then that was that. So I don't really want that to be the way I progress and get through this boss at all, so I'm going back to doing tier 3s here. I don't know. I'm definitely not able to do tier 4s yet. I don't know what I would need. I think I just need something to nuke the bats a little bit better. I'll probably ask around and see if there's any items that I should use at this early stage in order to do that a little bit better. But that is the big problem for the moment. Yeah, we are blowing through these bosses comedically fast. People are just running around. I'm getting them blown up by people randomly. I'm getting spider catalysts all over the place. I'm still doing tier 3s for the time being. But the lobbies are just so packed because of Aatrox. It's actually kind of ridiculous. Just seeing people run around everywhere is just genuinely nuts. We're making progress slowly, and things are moving in a good direction here. So let's get that next level. We got everything done for level 5. There we go. And that gets us a few things. Notably, does it actually give us the minion? Yes, it does. There's a tarantula minion. We also got the spider shortbow recipe. Let's pick up some spider catalysts. We'll grab 2 of those. And then we can make a spider shortbow. So there we go. Look at that. That's pretty interesting. I might actually bin this, though. I'm going to be real. Mostly because I might be able to just buy a different one. There's a duplex 1-1 for 1.2 mil. That's so silly. Yeah, we might have to pick that one up. That's actually kind of ridiculous that it has duplex on there. We're grabbing that real fast. Don't know why you would sell this like this, but sure. This one goes for like 600k. And there we go. Just one little change can absolutely make or break a build. And that little change was the Mana Flux Power Orb. I'm going to be honest, I did not expect it to be so night and day doing this boss with the Mana Flux. It was kind of a Hail Mary. I didn't really have any other upgrades I could get immediately. I could probably upgrade my wand as well in terms of healing, but I know the anti-heal on this boss is such a big deal. But the Mana Flux seems to be doing enough to where I'm out healing the damage the boss is dealing to me, which is kind of all I needed to do. So I've got to say it is very, very nice being able to actually deal damage to this boss effectively and not have to deal with all of the huge problems we were suffering with before. And there we go. That was a close fight. But as you can see, we are able to get it done. You know, we're scraping by every single run here. But we're making good progress towards our goal of Auto Slayer now. I so badly wanted to be able to do tier 4s, man. We needed it. We also got a Terra Catalyst a little bit ago, which was really, really nice. That's about 400,000 coins. I didn't really have a purpose for it, so it was going to be sold. And there's another Tarantula Catalyst. I don't know how I keep on dropping these. These are extremely rare relative to how many bosses I've done, but it's pretty lucky. The problem is, once again, not really going to make us a ton of money, I'm going to be honest here. We could theoretically save up 2 of them in a digested mosquito to make a mosquito shortbow, but like, that is kind of unlikely to happen. We could also theoretically make a primordial helmet, but once again, the money value here comes mostly from the tarantula silk, and we really don't have the ability to easily make this, but it would be cool theoretically if we did. We're now on the last Slayer boss that we'll need to do, hopefully, unless I die, of course. For Spider Slayer, for the time being, we're going to come back to the Slayer, of course, but I want to get over to doing revs pretty much as soon as possible. It's the best combat XP. I still need to level the skill, or rather the Slayer, quite a lot. So getting back over there and being able to grind it out with Auto Slayer active is going to be so much better. I've got to say, calling up Maddox in between fights very much is downtime. It is slow and it is not very fun. But when we're able to actually get the bosses done and then immediately go back to fighting them and then spawning another, the XP rates per hour are going to go up, the amount of kills we get per hour is going to go up, and hopefully our loot per hour is also going to start rising quite a lot. Now we just need to survive this fight, and we're good to go, which we might, because it looks like people are actually shooting at my bats, which is really nice. I kind of appreciate that, I'm not even going to lie. There we go, though. We're getting some good damage here in on the boss. It's actually going to come down to the wire here. There we go. It actually did come down to the wire. We almost died there. Let's call up Maddox again. And finally get this done. Please get me out of this boss. There's a level 6 Spider Slayer done. Unlocks the Scorpion Foil recipe, Spider Artifact recipe. Also, notably, I think we can put our Tarantula Talisman now, which requires Spider Slayer 6, in our accessory bag here. So let's take our probably... trying to think about what to remove from this. I would say our Intimidation Talisman we'll put in our Tarantula Talisman here. And there we go. That's now been assigned. We are up to 187 total magical power. We could be doing a little bit better, but not bad. We have about 9 mil in the bank. Let's get back to doing revs. And here is Auto Slayer. Upon defeating a boss, automatically completes the quest and starts another of the same type if you have enough coins in your purse or bank. I will take it. That is very, very nice. We are now extremely close to our next combat level, which will be combat 25, which, think about it, is halfway to 50, right, guys? Isn't that exactly how that works? Regardless, we're also getting pretty close to our next level of Zombie Slayer that'll put us at level 7, and that's where things get pretty interesting. Quite a few different items unlock. If we're able to get a tier 5 done, that'll also be something that could potentially get pretty interesting. But yeah, there we go. Combat 25, we get 100% total more damage to mobs. A bunch of power stones unlocked that I'm not really going to be able to use yet. We get 225k coins, that's pretty nice, as well as some Skyblock XP. Awesome. We're about to hit level 7 Zombie Slayer, which is pretty crazy. Means we're 1/10 of the way to maxed out with Zombie Slayer. Obviously, we're going to be able to make a lot more progress a lot quicker when we get the ability to grind out tier 5s with any amount of effectiveness. I don't know if that's going to be soon, but we're going to try a tier 5 right after this. But I think if I'm not able to do the tier 5, I'm not going to spend a significant amount of time grinding stuff out for the remainder of the night. I have been going and going all day, grinding out Sven, and then Terra, and now this, and even E-Man in the morning. But there we go. Zombie Slayer, level 7. Huge upgrade. This is really good. It opens up the rest of the loot pool for the most part in terms of Zombie Slayer. So that's going to be pretty crazy. Let's actually cancel this Slayer quest and get a tier 5. 47,000 coins. All right, we're going to pay it. We're going to give it a shot. I don't think we're going to be able to do a tier 5 with the current amount of damage and health we have. I think it'll just obliterate us. But here we go. We have a boss here. It's actually not killing us instantly. I'm almost a little surprised. Okay, we got hit with a few pieces of TNT there. Actually, it is killing us kind of instantly. I'm not very shocked about this. I'm going to be real here. But we're just going to keep on rolling. We're at 6.2 million HP on this boss. It's actually kind of getting low. I'm going to be real here. This is not going as badly as I initially anticipated. I'm going to be honest. Hold on. It's doing its nuke. 1 second. Okay, wait. There we go. We actually got the kill there off of... I think it was just some sort of... I think it was just Venomous. Was that Octodexterity? I don't even know what that was. That's crazy that we got the kill. I did not expect to be able to kill a tier 5. Holy. Wait, that actually opens up quite a lot for us. If we go over to our RNG meter, now that we can do that, we could theoretically drop a Warden Heart. That's 80 million coins. I guess we'll select that in our RNG meter menu. If we can somehow drop this week, that would be completely absurd. I guess before we take a break, I'll take a look at the setup here. I'm using my Reaper Falchion as well as my Tarantula helmet. I have strong gear the whole way down. I have my David's cloak. It's still serving me well. My Molten necklace, my Molten belt, and my Molten bracelet. And then I have my zombie pet, of course, which is not even close to max level. When this hits a higher level, though, the damage is going to get even higher, which is crazy. Okay, so now we're on day 3 of the skill locked profile here. And we're currently just doing a lot more tier 5s. As you can see, I was able to do quite a few more this morning. We're not really having too many struggles. The problem is it is eating into our bank or purse now. because we're not able to take advantage of any of Aatrox's perks, as Aatrox has left and now it is Finnegan as well as Foxy. This isn't really the best. It means that we might not be able to profit much, so we'll probably have to go back and forth between doing the actual revs and then, doing something else like hunting or whatever else. But for now, we can grind this out pretty effectively. As you can see, we really don't even have that much struggle in killing him. And we actually get some okay amount of profit from that. That's at least 70,000 coins. But still, we're not really able to make a lot of profit anymore. I'm going to keep going until we go negative in terms of the overall value. We are getting a lot of XP out of this, though. We're already 25% of the way through our next combat level. I think the eventual goal for later today, and what I will have to do, most likely, is either try to find some sort of combat method that I could do to make a ton of money, or just go back to hunting and grinding out a ton of coins that way in order to get a better setup. So I was doing a little bit of hunting, as you can see in my inventory. I wasn't even here for that long, and we have made about 5.2 million coins. I think I was doing this for maybe 15 minutes, but it's not really that bad. You're just running around getting the mossy bits. It could have been a little longer than 15 minutes. That's a super rough estimate. Don't use that as like, how long exactly. There were probably some things in there that I just, sold that I had in there for a long while. But regardless, still half decent money. Now we have about 8 million coins. We'll probably do this for a little while longer, get back up to 10 mil. And then we head back over to grind out a lot more tier 5s. We have to get another upgrade here. So if we go over to Jacobus, let's do that. So there we go. There's 2 more slots. And then I believe if I go and grab another upgrade, we'll have 4 more slots, which is really, really nice. But I believe, maybe not. Maybe we need to do it one more time. Pretty soon, though, we'll be able to get access to the Jacobus register. I think that's actually at one more. Might as well just spend the money. I know I don't really have much left after this, but we could always just go back to Galatea and continue hunting if we want more money. I just want to see if we get the register. So there we go. Yes, we do actually get it. There it is. Jacobus register. So that's another legendary accessory we could put in there. Up to, let's see, 203 magical power. That's very nice. And of course, we have a bunch of extra slots. As you can see now, we have a total of 5. Okay, so we bought up a few upgrades here. We have our sharp shark tooth necklace, a lush ring, a feather artifact, and a couple low-level talismans because I didn't want to spend the last remaining little bit of my purse. We're going to have to head back over to Galatea. But at the very least, listen, now we're up to 237 magical power. Currently just grinding out a lot more revs at the moment, and we are burning through a lot of our cash stockpile. As you can see on the left, we don't really have that much at the moment. But for now, we're just continuing on, just fighting a bunch of revs. Not really struggling too bad on these bosses. I think I've died once in 36 bosses, which it's kind of shocking. I expected to have a lot more trouble with this. I feel like I'm having more trouble with the tier 4 spiders than I'm having with this boss, and it just kind of blows up the moment you're here. And there you go. As you can see, I got an undead catalyst from that. That's pretty nice. So another night has passed on the skill locked, and we're just doing more revs at the moment. We're currently still bleeding money. Same problems that we've been having for a little while now. And I want to start looking into doing something else because I'm going to be real. This is starting to get a little draining. I don't have good boss times. I'm just burning through a lot of my cash, and I'm not getting very lucky on the drops here. It would be wonderful if I could drop something cool, but regardless, we need to do this for, the XP rates and all that. Eventually, once we're able to get, like, fast kills, doing close to 1 million damage, it'll be very nice grinding out this boss. But I want to try to figure out if there's anything else that I could potentially do. Obviously, we're stuck in terms of the Crimson Isle quest, so there's no chance we're getting, access to Kudra this cycle, which isn't really that great. It would have been wonderful to have access to Crimson Armor, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. There, we did get some foul flesh, so at least we make back some of our money there. Up to 47 bosses killed. I want to get to at least 50. I know it's a relatively low number, but I've just been kind of busy making other projects and doing other things during this, which totally is my fault. I want to hit at least the next level of Combat 26. We started at like Combat 22, I believe. So after a little bit of hunting, we have gotten ourselves about 7 million coins worth of the shards here. Actually, quite a bit more if we were to sell it directly to the bazaar, which we probably will do here for the majority of these. I don't know how long they will take, to fill, but we should sell them like this. It's just going to lead to significantly more money. It looks like it's actually closer to about 8 or 9 million coins, which I suppose for about a half hour's work isn't really the worst thing in the world. There are definitely worse money-making methods in this game, once again, and you're able to get a good amount in terms of the little hide-on boxes or hide-on leafs or whatever they're called. These guys give a decent amount of money every time you get one, even if they are a little bit annoying sometimes, but we should have enough to get back to combat stuff. I really am enjoying doing this, but we have to get back to it. That is the main skill of the week, of course. But, you know, we got a little bit of a detour. We got to improve the mental, and that's what matters in the end. And yeah, as you can see, these are starting to sell pretty solidly, so I'll definitely take that. Pretty soon after we got back to doing revs, I finally got some good luck because this ended up happening. Oh my god, there we go, our first big drop. There's a scythe blade, that's about 10 million coins. That's incredible. I did not think we would pick one of these up. Let's go, dude. All right, we're going to put this up for about 9.45 million coins. Obviously losing a little bit of value on that, but that's huge. That really kind of saves our current predicament of having basically no money. That's a super rare drop. Incredibly happy about that, I've got to say. So we're about to hit that next combat level. We're at 99.5% of the way through this level, meaning we're very, very close to combat 26. Have not made a ton of progress in terms of the combat levels themselves. I do need to work on this quite a lot more if I want to get maxed anytime soon. But I will say the progress so far this week has been fairly solid. We got the Scythe Blade, which is just absolutely crazy. And there we go. We got that level as well. So now we move on to combat 27. Hopefully we can get combat 27 by the end of this week. That would be pretty cool. And eventually we go for combat 30, but I think some of the later levels, or at least some of the mid levels, like 30 to 35, will come mostly through bestiary milestones. Especially once I get back to a fishing week, there is a ton of mobs that I need to unlock and level. That is a lot of bestiary milestones. Same deal if I unlock a mining week. There is a ton of mobs that I currently just cannot access, and that is a lot of bestiary that I'm missing out on. So if I can do that, I'll be in a pretty good spot. And we can claim our auction here. There's about 9.4 million coins. I don't know what I'm going to do with this 10 mil. I'll probably either get some more accessory slots or maybe just pick up some attributes. With our cash reserves now filled, we were able to grind out a whole lot more tier 5 bosses, bringing us a lot closer to that wonderful level 8 number, which we would hopefully hit by the end of the week. I didn't even realize I ended up getting a ghoul pet. This is a legendary ghoul pet as well. I don't know if I'm going to use it whatsoever, and I have an epic ghoul right here. But this is kind of cool, I guess. I don't know. I guess I keep it because it's only 1.4 mil. We've also decided to pick up a few Inferno Demon Lord shards. The reason why is that I need a lot more attack speed. I might as well just pick these up. Let me just grab those out before I do this. There we go. We actually max out our Matriarch shards. We get our attack speed up to +5 there, and we get 4 coins per kill. This is the next day. We're up to 72 total bosses killed. It's not really going up that fast, of course, because, you know, my times are still extremely slow, but we have 18 mil in the bank now after selling that Scythe Blade we got last night. I figure what I'm going to end up doing, I'll probably have to buy up a couple more accessories, but we're kind of accessory maxing at this point, just trying to get the maximum rarity for pretty much all of them. And then after that, I guess buy up a few more attributes and then focus on armor and weaponry. The second to last day of combat week went pretty simply. It was just revs, revs, and even more revs. We grinded out the boss the entire day, getting as many done as possible. Obviously, I wasn't super efficient during this time, but this was all with the eventual goal of hitting that level 8 milestone, which we were rapidly approaching. Now let's move on to the final day. So we are here. It is now the last day of the second combat week, and I'm going to be honest, I haven't been able to do that much over the last couple days. I've been fairly busy. So we're going to hop back in. We're going to try to hit Rev 8 tonight. I think that's a pretty decent goal to try to attain. Obviously, we didn't do that much in terms of combat level, but just grinding out Rev Slayer, being able to do this as an actual money-making method for future weeks, and then eventually getting access to some better gear would probably be the method for the long run. I think this boss is going to be our main path forward for combat. Obviously, though, in the future, if we get like a mining week, we could do ghosts potentially. There's a whole lot more there. In fishing weeks in the future, we'll have to grind out quite a lot of stuff. And we also have to get Kudra unlocked, which is a whole nother separate thing. But I can't do dungeons because my accessory power is just not very good. I want to get it up to, I don't know, I would say around 400, 500 MP before I even consider doing dungeons in any capacity. Then we get access to stuff like Giant Cleaver, or not Giant Cleaver, I think it's... Actually, yeah, I think it is Giant Cleaver. We ended up selling a ton of bits in the form of a bits talisman. This was the cheapest I could sell it for, and we're up to about 22 mil in the purse. I kind of am tempted to buy another booster cookie, but I don't think that's really going to be the method. We have 39, 40 mil even in the bank. There we go, hide on ring. We can pick up some of these. Let's pick up 4. Grab these. Put that in our box here. And that gets us an additional accessory bag slot. We can also grab 3 more for another one. We might as well do that. 3 more of those. And there we go. So now we have another 2 accessory bag slots. The gravity talisman is actually pretty cheap and not terrible given the circumstances. So we'll grab that and put that in there. That gives us up to 10 strength and defense the closer we are to the center of the island. So that'll be solid. And on top of that, I guess we can put up just pretty much anything else we have. I'll put up my, I don't know, my skeleton talisman. Might as well. That gets us up to 258 magical power, which isn't too bad. And we're still at around 30 million coins, and we're going to get back to doing some more Rev Tier 5. So let's go over and do some more of that. By this point, we were pretty much in the home stretch. Finally, we had a decent amount of money. Our setup was cooking. Our damage was going up by the day. And I just felt pretty good. We were getting a ton of these bosses done, and we were running through the last little bit of XP we needed before we hit Rev level 8. We are now 1 boss away, though, from Rev 8, which is pretty crazy. Did not realize that we were so close already. We've been grinding out revs for a little while now. Our profit is just going down. I've also been trying to go for as many Sycophant shards as possible. Not really doing great in that regard. I mean, I'm getting as many as I can, but it's still not a huge amount of money. The profit's at around 6.2 mil. I think it's been stuck there for a bit. You know, whatever. We're not really going to make a ton of money off this boss, of course. It's just not crazy profitable unless you hit a max win, but we could try our best. So there's another bestiary milestone. That's pretty cool. Let's actually grab that. This will probably be the last one we hit before we go to the next week. So that's cool. Another 1 health, which is kind of sick. And we are about to get this done. Let me back up so we don't die. There we go. And boom. There is the next level, Zombie Slayer 8. We can grab that. That gives us 5 health, 50 health regen, a Reaper Orb recipe, Halberd of the Shredded, Warden Helmet recipe, and we get some bonus HP as well from that level up. And the 50 regen is also pretty huge, I've got to say. That puts us up to 216 health regen, I believe. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Not gonna lie. I am a big fan of that. That's a good amount of HP per second, so that's a huge upgrade. We also have the Carnival active, so we're going to do as much of it as possible. We're going to focus on trying to get, I believe, the Fishing Festival perk here. Yeah, Shark Sonar. Reason why is we want to get more sharks whenever that event comes around. I don't know what other events to focus on. I could go for Fiesta-related stuff, but with the changes to fishing, the Shark Sonar perk is probably the most important. I don't really care about the Spooky Festival or Season of Jerry, and we've already done a lot of the Harvest Feast stuff from the farming week. So, and we also can't do mythological rituals. So, Fishing Festival it is. We did a few games here, and we got 1,400 total Carnival tokens. We're going to head over to Fishing Festival and max out Spooky Sonar. We probably also want Denture Collector as much as we can get. That gives us a bonus chance of catching shark teeth. And we probably want maybe Fishing Prodigy and the other one as well if we can get it. But I don't know if we will. given that we need a lot more total carnival tokens in order to make that possible. But hey, some significant buffs here for the fishing festival. So I kind of wanted to give an overview of where I'm at the profile at the end of this Skyblock year. Note that I've also made pretty much all of the minions that I was currently able to make because I needed more slots. I'm not going to place any of these down. I don't need the items from pretty much any of them. But for now, having access to those minions is really nice. And if somebody tells me, hey, you may need this minion down for whatever, I could just go into my inventory and place it down on my island. No big deal. I feel like I wasn't able to make as much progress as I would have liked in terms of combat this year. However, being able to get as far as I did with regard to Slayers is really incredible. And getting to Rev 8 specifically is super nice going into the next combat year, whenever that will be, because I'll likely have enough money to buy a Halberd of the Shredded, which is going to be absolutely incredible. Also, I don't have a booster cookie, so I have to go over there and have to show it through this. But still, getting this item is going to be huge for the profile. We're going to go hard on revs. I think that's the method for not only leveling the skill really, really quickly, but also it's for making a half-decent amount of money in the medium term. If we drop a few Warden Hearts, if we drop more Scythe Blades, which the drop of the Scythe Blade during this cycle was incredible, I think we're going to be in a good spot. In terms of the other Slayers, eventually I will work on them more as well. Notably Terra, that's not that terrible. I also think that E-Man will be worked on. And then eventually when we complete that Crimson Isle quest, we'll get some Crimson Armor. And then maybe we could work on Blaze in the far future if the opportunity is available to me. But I'm pretty happy with the progress. I would love to hear what you guys think about this down below. And I'm excited to see what the next week is. So let's go roll. Okay, so here we are once again at the wheel. As per the rules, foraging is no longer on the wheel because we have maxed it out. So it's just mining, farming, and fishing. And here we go. Let's see what we get next cycle. And the answer is... looks like it's another fishing week. All right, so that will be what we do next time out. And that concludes episode 5 of Skyblock Skill Locked. Once again, if you enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time for Fishing Week. Look to the future, fellas. I'll see you then.